Hello, I'm James Lott Jr. and welcome to another edition of A Lot of Help with James Lott Jr. And I'm a certified life coach, host, author, musician. I do all kinds of things. And I'm going to talk to someone who can say they knew me when. I'm talking, somebody that we're going to actually talk about when we met. And I'm talking decades ago at this point. And this guy, you think I do a lot of stuff? And I only wrote down some of the things he's been involved in what he does. Okay. He's the COO and president of KulchinRoss Insurance Services here in Southern California. He is a two-time president of IBA San Fernando Valley. He also was a Southern California Regional Director for IAB of Cal. He works with DART and the Oak Park Community Emergency Response Team, Oak Park Advisory Council, Oak Park Recreation and Park District Committee. He also is a co-author of a book called Images of America Oak Park. Also founded PursueInsurance.com. I'm going to stop there. He does so many different things. You can go to their website, KulchinRoss.com, to find out more of what he does and has done. My friend, Derek Ross. Hi, Derek.
Hi, James. That was quite an introduction. And yes, we've known each other for some time. I don't want to age us too much, but I would say that it's approaching on maybe the 2-decade mark, getting definitely beyond 1 decade.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic to reconnect with you. It certainly is.
You look amazing. First of all, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Before we start, I always have to ask all the guests, just because we're doing this safer at home, shelter at home thing. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. My family, everyone around me, my loved ones seem to be surviving these challenging times. I do need to say that you missed the most important job of them all that I have, which is being a grateful father to my 2 daughters, Molly, who's 10 years old, and Ellie, who is 9 years old. These 2 loves of my life, the wind beneath my sails.
They were born. It's crazy.
They are truly the inspiration. They give me all the inspiration for my life to move on, to be a good role model, to show them responsibility, passion, desire. And that is what drives me to do everything else. So I, of course, have to work in a shout out to the 2 youngins and my lovely wife, Lauren. Who's at home with them now. But yeah, everything is good with me. I hope the same holds true with you as well, James.
Thank you. It's good. Day 34 at home as we're taping this. I've been home the whole time. I've not left my property. People laugh at me. But as some people who know, I have a huge house. I have a huge yard. So I always post online, my garden. I have fruit trees and all kinds of stuff going here. So I haven't left the perimeter of my house. I've stayed here like they asked me to for the last 34 days. And I'm going to continue until they tell me it's okay to start, going out there. But I'm an organizer by trade, so I have a lot of stuff. I'm very organized. I have toilet paper. I have food. I've had things delivered to my house, of course, within the last 34 days. But I had a plate of ribs delivered to my house yesterday. My brother-in-law lives 2 blocks away, and it was like, we made some ribs. I'm all, bring them over. So I went outside with my mask and gloves and got my plate of ribs and went back in the house. So I'm good.
Yeah, that's certainly been the awkward part of this whole experience is, going over to my parents' house or having my in-laws come to our home and having to keep that 6-foot distance between people that my mother bore me. So
Right.
To not be able to give her a hug and a kiss, and it has been a bit challenging. And as well as I do, the power of touch is very, very difficult to stay away from. And not being able to give my mom a hug, not being able to feel her touch is definitely something that I miss. And I'm looking forward to that coming back soon, and it will, of course.
So I want to ask you, I actually want to ask you a question. You said something that I want to start off with before we get to you and I. I have 2 grown daughters and I have grandchildren. So I'm already ahead of you in that way. Some of us start a little young. But here's the thing I want to ask you, because I know what having daughters did for me as a man. So I want to ask you as a man, as a male, what is one thing your daughters have taught you about yourself?
Wow, just one?
You can say several, but let's like at least one major thing that you're like, I didn't know about myself until, because I knew you went also. I knew you pre Lauren and all this stuff. So I'm just curious. What's one thing?
That's a really good question. And the thing that comes to mind, the most recent thing that comes to mind, was an interaction that I had with my oldest daughter, Molly, where I was putting her to bed one night and she said, "Daddy, I want to tell you something." And I said, "Of course, dear, please, you can share anything with me. You know that." She said, "Daddy, I want you to do a better job of listening." And I said, "What makes you say that?" And she said, "Sometimes when I try to communicate with you, you cut me off before I have the opportunity to say exactly what it is I'm trying to express." And I looked at her, this young, beautiful flower that is 10 years old. A tear began to drop out of my eye because the wisdom that she was able to share with me at such a young age was astonishing. And I looked at her and I said, "Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me," because I realized that if I was doing that to her, then I was doing that with other people in my life as well. And I reminded her at that moment that if she ever has something that she needs to express to me, that I'm always able and willing to receive it. No judgment, no problems. Please help me become a better human being. And through that experience, she certainly has helped me become a better human being. One of my biggest problems in life is that I'm rather good at the things that I do and touch. And sometimes I forget how important it is to listen to others and take advisement from those around me. And hearing that from my youngest daughter, my seedling, was very powerful. And it's one of the many things that she and my other daughter and my wife, of course, have taught me in order to become a better human being, a better person for myself and for those around me. I know that was a bit of a long-winded response, but I hope that's what you were looking for.
It was a great answer, and I loved it. To piggyback off of your thing, what I learned from my daughters, something similar. I learned that, men were fixers. We're problem solvers, naturally. We're just like, well, you're crying. Like, how can I make you not cry? That's what you always learn. I learned through them that I have to sometimes not asking me to fix it. They're asking me to just be a caretaker, so to speak, just like to hug them or hear them talk about something and not necessarily go, well, just do this or just do that. And I noticed that, females, they respond to things different than men do. And a lot of times people just want to be heard. They just want to be heard and validated. And I had to learn, that's what I learned from my daughters was that, and then my granddaughter too, it's like, they just want Papa Jamie to be right there, Big Papa, just like there to hold them and listen to what they have to say and go, it's going to be okay, and that's it. Not give them a 5-point plan. Well, you just do this, and then you didn't do this. And so it's funny you say about the listening thing. Similarly, I guess that's my thing too, just to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great life lesson for all genders. Sometimes in life, we talk about the concept of letting go. Sometimes you just have to let go. You don't necessarily have to let go, but sometimes you just need to fall back, fall behind. And like you said, many of us have that quality to fix. Some of us, that's where our brain goes. I know you're an organizer, you're a motivated individual. I'm the same way. For me, organization and time management has been the key to all my successes. It is the key to my success. Without that, I would flounder, completely flounder.
Yes.
But that's not how everybody rolls. And it works for me, but not for the guy or gal standing on either side of me. And I think, just being cognizant and aware of your surroundings and being mindful is really the key to happiness. Aren't we all searching for the same thing, which is to be happy, to be filled with love? And a lot of that comes from just being grateful and gracious. So those little tidbits of information that we gather from our daughters, those are straight nuggets of joy. You can't ask for anything more than that.
I agree. It's very much when you have a staff or you're delegating, or whatever, you have to, and we always say in the business, you have to read the room. It's good to read the room and see and then this person's strengths, this person's strength, you know where to go because you're paying attention and you're listening. And I actually took a course on listening, actually, through my life coaching. And I ask people, first of all, do you think you're a good listener? And people say, yeah, I know how to listen. I'm like, no, it's different stories. Do you really hear things? Listening is not just with your ears. I always tell them that. People go, what? I'm like, no, that's yeah, I mean, clearly sound goes to your ears, but it's not just with the ears. And so I say that all the time.
You touched on something that resonates with me, which is sort of my philosophy in life and within my work environment, which is to surround myself with people who are brighter and smarter and wiser than myself.
Yes.
And I learned that lesson a long time ago. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. So I really try to focus on those strengths and not really play in my weakness zone, and to surround myself with people who can fill in those craters of weakness. And then taking it to the next level is utilizing a similar system that, say, John Wooden taught when he was teaching basketball and all the other things that he did over the years, which is top-down leadership doesn't work. Leadership starts from the bottom and works its way up. And we take a team approach in my business to make decisions together. And sometimes when we're making a decision, I may be the one with their hand up and nobody else, and I lose. You have to have faith in the people that are around you. And when you have that faith and you believe in those individuals, good things are destined to happen. I truly believe that.
You are as good as your team. I always feel like, I feel like no matter if you're the leader, I'm putting air quotes, you're the leader, that's just semantics. Yeah, you own the company or you're the manager or whatever, but you really are just working as one organism. You should work as one, where this person pumps the blood and this one does the oxygen, and this, I'm doing my nursing references, makes me a nurse. But it's just literally, there's four, things. It's all these things that go on that go into a group setting. I teach classes on group stuff too all the time, and group dynamic, because I think it's so important that we're a community. And it doesn't matter whether you and I see each other all the time, but what I do still does affect what you do in Oak Park, and what you do affects somebody over there in La Crescenta. And we're all part of the same group. We're all trying to do stuff that's going to fit the community at large. And it starts on the smaller levels by surrounding yourself with people who are good. No jealousy, none of that kind of stuff. You have to get rid of all the ego. If someone's good at social media and better than you are, well then, by God, hire them and have them your social media, because you'll look good. You're using they feel good because they're doing their job. When folks, and it happens in Hollywood all the time, where folks are just like jealous, I'm like, who cares? It's like, you still look good in the end. That's the whole point. We work together.
Yeah. Look, beauty, as we all know, resonates from the inside out. And I try to spend a lot of my time just focusing on being gracious. Every morning I get on my hands and knees and pray. And my prayers are always for others, and just to feel a sense of grace in this life. Ego is a strong thing. It's part of who we are. It's in our brain. It's our makeup.
Yeah.
But the more you can train yourself to feel a sense of graciousness towards everything, starting with health, starting with family, starting with love, it really sweetens and icens the cake to have a better sense of who we are, instead of having to fight that ego to be the first man to finish or be at the top of the mountain. It's okay to be the last one to get to the top of the mountain. Maybe you saw more things on the way up. Maybe you learned something. Look, James, life is all about learning whatever it is we have the desire and passion to learn, but learning is life. And as I look around at your backdrop of your home studio, I'm learning many things about you. I see your artwork. I see your keyboard. I see this personality that is developing. I see you're painting something behind you, a little easel.
Yeah.
Even just looking at your palm tree Hawaiian style shirt, which I'm not learning when I'm looking at that. I'm actually thinking I should be going to Hawaii
exactly
in about a week for a trip that you used to attend.
I know.
That has been canceled.
Yeah.
But my mom taught me as a young boy, you can be anywhere you want to be as long as you can close your eyes and have that vision in your mind. It's the movie Shawshank Redemption, which many of us have seen. It's arguably one of the greatest movies of all time from my perspective.
I agree.
And knowing that you can be anywhere, no matter how good, how bad, but you can close your eyes and be in your mind and be there, and it tastes just as sweet and feels just as good. Life is beautiful.
We're both wearing blue. I just noticed that.
Indeed.
I'm looking at this thing over here because I have my degrees and stuff on my wall, which no one can see over here. But I'm looking at, I did 3 different marathons in my 40s. I know, I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but I got into marathons in my 40s. I did one, got hooked in another, I did 3. And like the first one, you said something that really triggered this. So, folks, I am old. I may look young, like my glasses on, to read this. So, they give you a certificate afterwards, and it says it tells you how you placed. Now, I completed the marathon within the time period, which I'm very proud of myself. It was San Francisco Marathon, which was not easy. I was 183 out of 185 males aged 40 to 44. And one of my friends said, well, you were one of the last ones. Like, you literally like one of the last ones in that category. I go, but I still made it. Like, it's not, they just tell you that stuff because they do all the stuff. But I said, I wasn't trying to be the one to finish first. I wanted to finish. That was the point. So I'm proud of being number 183 out of 185. Like, I'm not ashamed by it or sad or angry. Like, God, I should have been more than that. It's like, no, I completed a marathon in my 40s. I mean, like, that's the story. That's the meat of the story.
Well, look, you have to look at even the bigger picture than that. You were 183 out of 185 people who competed that day, who trained that day for that marathon. Think about the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who didn't even attempt to try and or complete that marathon.
True.
So when you look at the bigger perspective, you're in the top 1%, no matter how you look at it. Right. And you should be proud of yourself for competing in a marathon. You may remember that I've competed in Spartan races, triathlons, marathons, all of it. Yeah. And you know, there is a certain part of competing in those that there's this competitive structure to the event. They place you for a reason. But I can tell you there were many times where I was struggling and had no legs underneath me, but I was doing my run along the beach in Oxnard, actually, and looking at the ocean saying, you know what? It could be a lot worse. I could have no legs. I may not be able to run. I might not be able to see this ocean. I might not be able to breathe this fresh ocean air. Just take it all in. And again, that's what life is all about, taking it all in while we're blessed enough to do it.
I remember I did my first one. You might just remind me of something. It was in San Francisco, and you go through all of San Francisco. I remember going by my old, and I didn't live there anymore. By then I had moved to LA. And I went by my old house. I used to live with our friend Nick Saparis. I went to our old house. Like, I used to live with David and Nick. I'm like, David Bennett. I used to live there. So I got a little teary-eyed. So I was like, I'm near my old place. And I remember when I got to and it goes all the way down to the Embarcadero. I've never been to San Francisco. The Embarcadero is this long strip on the water. And I remember I was down to the last mile. I was tired as F. I was so tired. But, you know, I mean, I had trained for 6 months. I mean, I'm going to do this. And I remember I got a cramp, which I did one of the things that you should never do which is, you know, it's crunch up your butt cheeks. You should never do it. Always try to stay loose. I always say, try to stay loose. Somehow I did it at that last 2-mile run, and so I had like some pain. I remember seeing down at the end. I remember seeing the finish line. I mean, I literally saw it was a mile, but I could see it, and I was like, okay. And I remember that the physical training wasn't what got me to that finish line. It was the mental training I did that got me to that finish line, because something kicked in. It was like, just like my life period, you know, a very fearless guy. I try all kinds of things. It was kind of like, but James, you really want to do this. You want to complete this. You really, just mentally, you really want, it's not so much for the gold medal or the medals or whatever you gain. It really is because you worked very hard at this. And just like your life, you always want to get to the finish line, whether it's completing a course at school, whether it's finishing a job that you're doing with somebody. Like, this is what you do, James. So I remember I was in so much pain, and they take pictures of you. You've never done a marathon, folks. They take pictures from you, wherever the cameras are. They take pictures of you, and they sell them to you later if you want pictures. And I remember as I got closer, I started seeing my friends who I didn't know were coming at the finish line, at the end side. All of a sudden I see, oh my God, it's so-and-so. Oh my God. And that kind of helps motivate you too. When I saw those pictures afterwards, the look on my face, dragging my dead leg across that finish line was exactly how I felt. I mean, I started laughing because it was exactly how I felt. But it was like, there was this thing about life, about just like, I want to complete something. And the physical part was, yeah, that was part of it. But I mean, I did train, but it was the mental part. And that actually helped shift my mindset. I went into life coaching after that. I was like, that made me go, that's where it is. It's in the brain. That's what,
You
that's
bet
what
it's in the brain.
And you know this, you've done all these things, you know this.
Look, one of the things that I believe in is exactly what you just said, which is finishing the task that you begin. It doesn't matter how you get there, how long it takes, the ups, the downs, but just breaking through the finish line is really, really important. And I try to share these same ideologies with my children, which is, do the best you can. Your best might not be as best as somebody else's good, but as long as it's your best is your best. And each day our best is going to be different than the next day. You may not feel good today, but you're still doing your very best. Tomorrow you might feel fantastic and your best will be better than the day before. But waking up each and every day and having faith in yourself to accomplish the dreams that you have can be life-changing, as you said. And it's great to hear your story, because an experience like that, where it's mind over matter, yeah, you're running through the pain and your body will play tricks on you. And you can interview a Navy SEAL or anyone who's really gone to the brinks of hell. They'll tell you that it's all about how you control your mind and your mindset. And that's something that I spend a lot of time reading and researching on my own, is really how to control your mind, how to control the thoughts that go through your mind, the perceptions and misperceptions of how your mind perceives the reality around you, the internal conflict that is truly internal and has nothing to do with any outside resources. Those are great character traits. And it's great to hear these things coming out of you, James. It really is. It's funny because I know that we're, doing a podcast right now, but I really just feel like I'm having a regular conversation with a friend that I haven't communicated with in some time. And yes, it's being videoed and recorded and whatever fancy equipment that you're using right now. But I feel like I'm just on the phone talking to, one of my buddies, as I would, later today and will tomorrow and the days after. So I enjoy the conversation. Thank you, James.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you. So I'm going to go into that because I have some questions to ask you about your business, and I'll do that. I'll do that in a second. But us. So here's what's funny. So I was going back because it feels like there was like my San Francisco life, and now I'm in LA. I've been in LA 11 years now, which I can't believe I've been down here 11 years. That went by fast. My San Francisco life, I was there 16 years, and that was a major chunk of my life and experience. And so I remember I was going back because I talked to some of you guys still, online. There's people that like Rick Dinger or Mike Scott or whatever. I mean, I still, Chrissy Houston. There's people I do still talk to on occasion. They watch my stuff. They'll say, "Oh my God, I knew you when you were like a little baby," and stuff. I knew when you had long hair, and I remember I had long hair. I remember that. All kind of stuff. I've had folks. He's seen me different hairstyles, all kind of stuff. But I was trying to think about us, and I go, okay. I'm trying to remember. So I was like, okay, so I was friends with Nick Saparis. We've been friends since 1990. I knew him since, we've known each other like 40 years, whatever, 30 years. But I remember I worked for Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, and 9/11 happened. And we actually lost the whole office in New York. It was like this horrible, it was a horrendous time to work there. And then beginning of 2002, I was going to come back to LA. I said, I'm going to quit Morgan Stanley. I was a switcher operator. I hated it. I was going to come back to LA. And then Nick was like, I need some help at this agribusiness conference. Okay, I don't know what that was. What's agribusiness? I don't know what that is. Like, what is that? And I went to help for the week. This was a whole week thing in Sacramento, which I'm from Sacramento also. So we had a Sacramento connection. That's how I met Nick. And I met everybody from IBA West. There was IBA West back then with Clark Payne and everybody. And I connected with everybody. Actually, I go, you know me, I'm a friendly guy. I'm just like talking to everybody. And I remember, I've never done this before in my life since then, but I remember at the end, I'm like, Nick, you really need help, don't you? He's like, yeah, I have all these conferences and these things I have to do. I do need the help. And I went to Lori Infantino, and I remember saying to her, girl, you know you want to hire me. And she started laughing. She's like, who are you, James Lott Jr.? Like, who are you? And I'm just me. I'm just like, you know, they were like, I guess it was a breath of fresh air or something to them. They're just like, you're just like who you are. Because I had nothing to lose. I'm just like, so asking me whatever. I got to talk to the people at IBA West and see if they're whatever. And because Clark and I got along from the very beginning. I mean, I still talk to him this day here and there. We got along at the very beginning, got along. We had a twin connection. I'm a twin, he's a twin. We had a twin connection. So we talked about that. And I'm like, oh, I like that James Lott Jr. guy. You know, sure, you can hire him. And they actually hired me for a few months. And I was going to stay. I was like, I'm still going to LA. I'll stay until like maybe 2 or 3 months and then I'll go. Well, I got in and actually liked the job. And then these conferences started coming up that were planned, you know, Why Back, which is where, you know, I think I first met you there. But it was like, it was the one conference in Hawaii first, which I've done that one too. But then it was Why Back. And there was another one that came up later, Getaway later. It's like, well, I need your help with these things because we're actually going to help Jill Turner. We're going to help her run these conferences and everything. And I met Jen Thuma. I mean, all these people. I mean, I'm naming all these names. You know all these people, and I named all them.
I do.
And it was, I think it was Why Back 2002. I think I met you.
That sounds probably about right because I was just finishing college. I graduated college in 1997 and was jumping into the insurance industry full time. I had already been in the industry since I was 16. And so I was kind of hybriding while I was in college and learning the ropes, and then came in full throttle after I graduated, got introduced to the Insurance Association by an old mentor of mine at the time who said, you know, this is the way to go. Learn, you know, go through the association. And then we met at the Young Brokers and Agents Conference. I don't know exactly where it was, probably in Palm Springs or some destination like that. I was young and green and
you were so earnest. You were so earnest, Derek. I remember you being, because insurance was new to me. And I just remember Nick was like, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. I'm learning. I mean, I met Jeffrey Lang. I mean, I was bringing all these people that I still talk to on occasion. I remember you just being this earnest guy, like you were ready. Like you were fresh, you were ready to get in there, and you really wanted to make, I remember I feel like you wanted to make an impression.
You know, I enjoyed meeting a lot of new people. You know, this was a whole new world for me and a new industry. And, you know, I just wanted to give it my all and make new friends. I was surrounded by a whole group of individuals that I hadn't really met or known. And the one thing that I know is that in order to develop relationships, you got to put in the effort. You got to put in the time. And so I made unique friendships with many, many people, including yourself. And all the names that you have listed off in the last few minutes, you know, obviously I made individual relationships with all of them, some of whom I still speak with, some I don't, they're all acquaintances, of course. But we all move on as we get older and have families and our lives, and all the respective things that happen in our lives kind of spread us apart. But we all come back as one big family. And, you know, I'm still involved in that association. As I said earlier, I was getting ready to fly in about 10, 11 days.
Early May.
To Hawaii. It's a trip. We don't bring our children. It's a trip my wife and I were ready to attend. This year we were going Friday to Friday, getting there a little early, staying there a little late, just to enjoy. I'm a real beach guy. I love being in the ocean. Yeah. So for me, that was something that I was really looking forward to. And yeah, I mean, that was a neat experience for me. Looking back, you know, hindsight, I'm very blessed that it was suggested to me to be involved with that organization. And it's still a blessing to be involved with it now.
I have a lot of fun. For me, it's almost like college for me, because I have a lot of fond memories. You know, but I was in my 30s by then, so I wasn't like super young, but I just remember every year, every conference, every getaway. It was good to see all you guys. We all got along. We'd fall right back into our things. We talked throughout the year for sort of various things. You know, we needed something, but it was to me, it was, I have very fond memories. I do when I think about that time period.
Well, look, it was a pretty good gig when you think about it. I mean, you're essentially, this kind of social director, you're the social director of the Love Boat. And the Love Boat sailed to different destinations throughout the year.
Yeah.
And again, each of, whether it was you or others on the team, your personalities, exuded through the event. So whether it was, some sort of evening luau event or whatever the theme was, that came from the heart. And that's the glue that really holds the association together in many ways, are these social events where people can spend some time getting to know one another, loosen up with a few cocktails.
Yes.
And which it's in a great destination. And that's where you forge long-term relationships and friendships that, hopefully last forever.
Well, it's funny because of this, I'm part of the several organizations now. I'm part of the National Association of Productivity and Organizers. I joined that because of my experiences in an association before that. I never knew what associations were before that, really. I never knew what they were. But because of that, because I was part of that for like 10 years or however long I was there, I sought out and looked out. I'm like, in my fields, I'm part of ICF, the National Coach Federation. Like I started picking things that were what I did for a living, finding associations for connection, because I realized through all this stuff from the past to now, we're all entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. We're in satellite offices. We're in our own. We don't have that water cooler. Everybody gets together every day talking. So you kind of have to have these big events a couple times a year so you can feel like part of, back to that community thing, right? It's back to community.
Well, and that what we're going through now with COVID-19 is challenging everything that you just said, which is I am here in my office right now alone. I come in a few days a week simply to process the mail and deal with checks that come in through snail mail. And I'm rather humbled by the experience, because it's since my partner and I opened up this business, it's been about 10 years since I've gone and got the mail and opened the mail and processed the mail. And I remember 10 years ago when we did it, there wasn't that much mail coming in. But here 10 years later, it's like I'm getting stacks of mail, and I have this brand new appreciation for our other team members that are processing the mail on a regular basis, because it takes some time. Yeah. But at the same time, here I am in our office. We've got about 5,000 square feet, and I'm all alone, and there's nobody here. And I'm a bit of a social butterfly. So when I have a sort of a dead zone in my day, which happens throughout the day, I tend to sort of open my wings and fly. So I'll be out of my door, and then I'm just kind of walking around. What are you doing? And I'll get like, leave me alone, I'm busy. And when someone tells me that, that's who I don't leave alone.
Yeah, of course.
Because they are busy. Yes. But I kind of roam through the office, and I'm unable to roam through the office and have that stimulation. What I did do is I created an obstacle course for myself in the office, where when I get a little bored and I need to get some energy out, I kind of jump over chairs and kind of move to the left and move to the right and get some of the energy out. But the ability to integrate new technologies like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and some of these other video conferencing tools, I'm working very hard to keep that glue together. Our business, the culture, is our number one thing. It is the most important thing to me, is to develop a culture of people who, and I use this term often, in order to be a member of our team at KulchinRoss Insurance Service, you must have one very important quality, and it's the quality of being pleasant. If you don't have the quality of being pleasant, then you're not going to be a part of our team. No matter how much money you think you can make me, or how great you are, how smart you are, how dedicated you are, if you don't have the simple quality of being pleasant, you will not fit in here. And I miss seeing all of the pleasant people that I get to see on a regular basis, but I'm able to get a little taste of it, kind of like a scratch and sniff sticker, when we do our Microsoft team meetings and we get to see each other's faces and trying to make it creative with different themes. We just had a funny glasses theme discussion. We had our funny hat one the week before, just adding new concepts to spicing them up. But yeah, man, you know, life is good, and being around people and feeling that love is the fuel for my desire and my fire.
We always say, I always tell my mentees, and I have it here in Hollywood, I always tell them, I said, you know, you can have all the talent in the world. You can be the most beautiful woman or most handsome man, doesn't matter. If you can't come to the set and almost be pleasant, I would say, you can't come to the set and be friendly and, you know, and do your job, they don't want you. You won't get hired. I have friends who are not pleasant. They're not pleasant, using your word. They're not pleasant, and they don't get hired as much. And I said, and while I'm talented, well, that doesn't matter. It's people want to be around people they like. I'm sorry, it's just how it is, folks. I mean, we can argue that, and it shouldn't be this way, or it doesn't matter. That's the nature of the beast. That's in any business. I mean, you just made that point in your business, but same in my business or everything. People want to be around people that make them feel good and make them feel welcome and comfortable. And as long as you do your job too, that's great also. But I say it all the time. I said, and that's why I get hired. I come and I smile and I have a spring in my step and crack a few jokes, and I'm good to go. I mean, that's what I do. But I can do my job. I can back it up. But I think that's not the important part. Unfortunately, that's not the first line.
You know, kindness is a very important quality and an important ingredient in our world today. And we haven't communicated all that much, but I travel a lot overseas, and I travel to Southeast Asia about 6, 7, 8 times a year. I think last year I went 9 times. And so I've seen a lot of striking differences between American culture and the Asian culture, and specifically in Southeast Asia. And one of the biggest differences that I've seen is this community feel, this sense of kindness, this sense of graciousness. And, you know, I feel it as soon as I get off the airplane and get into an airport, whether it's in Taiwan or South Korea or Thailand, where here I am, a foreigner. I don't speak the language. I look completely lost, and I can actually walk up to someone and ask for help. And you get a smile, even if they don't speak the language. There is a sense of, I will help you. Whereas when I get back and land in LAX and need help just identifying which baggage carousel number my luggage is going to fall at, and I can actually read English, and I go up to that attendant and they look at me and say, the board is right there, figure it out on your own. I'm reminded that I'm back in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And that's usually when I want to turn back around and get right back on the plane and fly back to Asia.
I understand that one. It's really funny because you know, I believe in, I try to give what I want back. So I'm a big believer in, you know, you get what you give. So I try to be a friendly, authentic person. And we haven't talked a lot, but over the years, you've always been very, you know, supportive of my career and of me. When I started losing weight, you were very encouraging online, and you're like, good job, you're doing great and everything. And so, I mean, it's kind of this thing where that's my impression of you. So whether I talk to you 5 times a year, once every 2 years, it doesn't matter. My impression is, well, Derek's a nice guy. And that's something to be said. Your reputation, if it precedes you in a good way, then you're good. You know, you're good. You know, and I think that's, you know, that's something that I think people maybe take that for granted a little bit, or don't put as much importance in it. I think it's really important. And a person who actually is co-running a business, you know, CEOs get all bad, or COOs, CMO, they all get bad rap sometimes. I mean, they're all just meanies and they're bosses. But you're showing people just through this interview that you don't run your business that way.
Well, look, I happen to run a business, and I have a wonderful business partner named Bill Kulchin. I'm very lucky to have him by my side. Again, strengths and weaknesses. You know, Bill fills in that crater of the weaknesses that I have with his many, many strengths. And I'm very blessed that we have interacted and been able to succeed in the way we can. But at the same time, you know, you led off with many of the activities that I have been involved with.
Yes.
And yes, many of those I've been elected to. I was elected to the Oak Park Municipal Advisory Council, which is our city council for our little unincorporated community just outside of Los Angeles County. But right now, I'm on my 2nd term as an elected official to the governing board of the Oak Park Unified School District. And boy, have I learned a lot getting involved with public education. You know, here I am, one who wasn't the greatest student. I didn't really care for school. I came from a divorce household. I was a latchkey kid. I barely graduated high school. I
Yes.
went to college because my mom said, you should go to college. Where do you want to go? And I said, how about Santa Barbara? And she sent me. Well, who's going to turn down going to Santa Barbara for
Right,
college? It
exactly.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's giving back. And we have gone through a lot of challenging experiences just within our school district. Last year, 2 years ago, we had the fires, the devastating Woolsey fires that tore up our community and burned down many homes in our community. In the middle of last year, we began introducing a new curriculum surrounded around gender diversity training and how important it is to be open and kind to all human beings, and developing a curriculum that very few schools in the country, let alone in our area, have been embracing. And we took a lot of heat for bringing the gender diversity curriculum into our school district. And now, jumping into an environment where we're having to take on remote distant learning, which is something that we've never done. And having kids right now, students who are getting ready to graduate high school, the culmination of all of their hard work, looking forward to their graduation ceremony and having to let them know that we can't do the ceremony as you know it, and trying to create something that is safe and healthy and fulfilling for these students. My daughter is graduating 5th grade this year, and this would be her first culmination, moving on to middle school. And my daughter can't even have that graduation. So, again, these experiences and giving back to others, I have 2 daughters in the school district, but I really have 4,600 students being involved with the school, and thinking about each and every one of them. We're all so different. We all come from different places, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, all of it. But each and every one of us matter in our own special way. And again, that kindness and that desire to just be involved. My thing is I enjoy being involved. I use the analogy, I love having one hand on the wheel. I don't have to be the only hand. I don't need to steer, but I want to have a hand on the wheel. I want to have a voice. I want to be a part of our future. And that's something that I'm trying to teach my kids and everyone around me, people that I mentor, that be involved. Have your voice heard, even if it goes against the grain. Express your feelings. It's really important. And I know, James, you're the same way, and you believe in the same fundamental ideas.
I do. And I tell people all the time, I tell my mentees and people in my life, I go, you can't sit and complain if you don't do nothing. So my thing is, yes, the presidency is a big thing. I get all that. But it starts from the local level. I go, school boards, district attorneys, measures, you have to read those things. I went, because I'm in Inglewood, and Inglewood's changing, as we all know, at the stadiums here, and the metro's coming through. The metro literally is like 2 blocks from my house. The stadium's literally around the corner. So I went to some of those town hall meetings to see what they were talking about, because I'm like, when you wake up one day and you can't park on your own street, you think, well, what happened? Well, they send you on they put on your door all the time, come to this town hall meeting next week. Or go online. Like, you don't do that, then you can't park on your street. You can't complain about why you do it. I actually went to a town hall meeting one time about permit parking for our block. They want to turn our block into a major street. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm glad I went. I voted. We got what we wanted. So actually, I made a difference. Me and my neighbors, we all made a difference. We came together and made a difference. And it's way better for us now than it had been in years. But if I had to step back and just go, well, they're going to do what they want anyway, or I don't know what's going on, then you have to focus from the local level and work your way up. And it comes to your senators, it comes to your assemblymen. I mean, it's all that stuff you have to. And maybe because I come from a political family who was in Sacramento, my father worked for senators, and then he was a lobbyist. So but part of me also just thinks I like community. That's part of your community. So read that Measure A and Measure B and figure out what the F it is. Like read it so you can actually go, oh, okay, now I know what's going on, and I can be and at least be involved. You don't have to run for office yourself, but look who's running for office.
Well, let me tell you, I never planned on running for office at all. And it was never on my radar. And quite honestly, it's not on my radar. I get asked all the time, what do you do next? What is your next plan?
Yeah.
And using the association, again, the insurance association, we would attend this legislative conference, and we would go to Washington, D.C. and meet the senators and the congressmen and congresswomen and meet all these fancy individuals that were making a change, you know, in their local areas, their communities. And, you know, I realized how important it is to be involved. And, you know, again, I never said to myself, you know, I'm going to run for this. It's always been other people who have said, you know, you should do this. You should really do this. And then I begin to explore it, and then I do it, and then I get elected. And then I end that and say, all right, you know, when I was on the city council, I said, this is it. I'm done. Sometimes you can be more effective on the other side of the table, you know, being a participant as a spectator versus then being the one who actually has to judge and make the decision. So after I ended my term on the city council, I said to myself, I'm not going to do anything more. I'm done. I just want to spend time with family. And then the woman who was the president of the school board for Oak Park Unified School District called me up and said, you know, you should really run for the school district. And I said, what are you talking about? I am not pedigreed. I am not some school district person. I don't know any, I'm not a triple A+ student. We have a high performing school district, very high performing in California, let alone the whole country. I'm not the right guy. And she said, you're exactly the right guy. And so I said, all right, I'll try it. And I got elected. And I'm very thankful that I've gone through this process. And I just want to say to those listening, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of behind the scenes time and effort that we all have to put into our commitment on being on the school board or on a city council, or I'm also still a member of the Oak Park and Recreation Committee.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of back end work, and we take a lot of heat, and it can be very, very challenging. And I think we often forget that we need to be thankful for the people that get involved. We may not agree with all of them. We may not have the same visions. We may not lie on the same side of the political spectrum, but they're up there doing their very best. And I feel very grateful to work with the people that I work with on the boards that I'm involved with, because I know that they're there for the right reason. And that's what it's all about, James. That's what it's all about.
Derek Ross.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you this.
Yes.
Because you're similar to how I am. Your destiny may call otherwise. I will not be surprised if I go on Facebook and I see you running from a larger office, and I'd vote for you, of course, if I could, if I were to vote for you. But I'm telling you right now, Derek Ross, I'm going to tell you, your destiny may speak otherwise.
Well, my destiny right now is calling for my feet in some warm sand, walking into some warmer ocean water, where I can get under and just hear the bubbles of the ocean and see some amazing fish. That's really where I'm at right
sand, now. Beaches, bath water, warm water. I'm like, I am, some sun. I'm right there with you, Derek. I am. I could talk to you forever, but they don't let us do that kind of stuff here. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you so much.
Look, I'm humbled by you asking and reaching out and allowing me to be involved in one of these projects. I know you take everything that you do very seriously, and you take a lot of pride in the things that you do. So to allow me to be involved in anything that you do is a great pleasure. And I'm very appreciative of you spending the time just to talk to me for a little bit. And as I tell basically everyone that I communicate with, if I can ever serve or be an assistant to you or help you in any way, please feel free to reach out. I'm always available, and I'm glad to put my 2 cents in. You may not agree with it. You might not like it, but I will always keep it real.
I know you will. Actually, I know you will. I believe you. I know if I needed something from you, I could call you. And that's one of the great things about the friends I've made in that certain association. And many of you guys I've called for things here over the years, and you guys take the call. So thank you very much. Tell people where they can find your business, anything online, or whatever you want to promote. Please promote it. It's your chance to promote it.
The one thing that I don't like doing the most
is promoting.
If you wanted to search us out, the name of our firm is KulchinRoss Insurance Services. You can find us online at www.KulchinRoss.com. And there's loads of information. We're always here to help. But most importantly, look, life is a wonderful treat. And cherish each and every moment, each and every second, because we never know where life is going to take us. So if there's anything that I can suggest to the people listening to your program today, is just cherish each moment. Truly, truly cherish it and be mindful of everything around you. James, you're a great guy, and this has been a pleasure to communicate with you.
Thank you. You guys, this is A Lot of Help, which you can find on all social media platforms. And A Lot of Help, that's 2 T's, not one. And you can also find this podcast, the audio version, hello podcast listeners, everywhere where podcasts are streaming. I'm talking from iHeartRadio to Spotify, Pandora, Deezer, Spreaker.com, Apple Podcasts. It's everywhere. Where you find it, like, subscribe, comment. If you like what he said or like what I said or don't like, write it anyway. I love the dialogue. I love healthy debate. Please go ahead and do that and share this with anybody you think needs to actually hear this. This video version of this podcast is also on my channel, JLJ Media, which you can find on YouTube. Just type in JLJ Media, find it. I have a playlist with other people from all walks of life that I talk to, and all my other shows that I do. I have like over 2,000 episodes of stuff that I do on there, all neatly in playlists. But go ahead again and share to other people that may need to hear this. Where can you find me on social media? We're all James Lott Juniors are sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. Everyone, please, please, please. I know we're going through a difficult time. I hear you. I see you. I have compassion. I feel for you. Do your best to stay as safe and as sane as you can.